Have you ever visited someone's home and left feeling worse than when you arrived? As we get older, our time and energy become even more precious, and it's important to think carefully about where we choose to spend them. The truth is, no matter how much free time you may have in retirement, or how generous you feel with your company, some visits just aren't worth the cost to your peace of mind. And here's what I want you to know. You deserve to be in places where you're valued, respected, and truly welcome. In this video, we're going to explore 5 types of people whose homes you should think twice about visiting as you get older. These aren't just suggestions for avoiding awkward moments. Each one points to a kind of relationship that can quietly chip away at your confidence, happiness, or sense of ease. From those who always seem to have a negative word to those who leave you feeling drained or disrespected, you'll see how protecting your peace starts with a simple choice of where you go and who you give your time to. Stay tuned until the end, because you'll discover how these insights can help you build a life filled with more uplifting connections and fewer moments of regret. It's not about shutting people out. It's about choosing where to place your trust so that your days are filled with kindness, warmth, and the kind of companionship that truly matters. Now let's get started. Number 1, people who constantly criticize or belittle you. One clear sign that visiting someone's home isn't worth your time is if that person consistently criticizes or belittles you. This might seem subtle at first, perhaps it's masked as playful, teasing or joking, but over time these comments build up, chipping away at your confidence and leaving you feeling less sure of yourself than before you arrived. It could be anything from remarks about your clothing, your choices, your age, or even your abilities. No matter how trivial these criticisms seem on the surface, they have a lasting impact, creating doubt and making you question your worth. As we grow older, our emotional health becomes just as important as our physical health, and spending time with those who undermine our sense of self isn't something we should tolerate or ignore. We deserve better. Friendships that uplift us, conversations that inspire us, and homes that feel genuinely welcoming. If someone regularly makes you feel like you're falling short, or like you're always being measured and found wanting, it's essential to recognize the emotional cost of continuing those visits. Take my friend Barbara, for example. Barbara, who is 73 years old, recently told me about a friend she'd known for decades. Whenever Barbara visited her friend's home, she often came away feeling downhearted and unsettled. Barbara couldn't pinpoint why at first, but soon she realized it was due to the constant subtle critiques her friend would offer, whether about Barbara's cooking, her hairstyle, or the way she spent her free time. Though her friend insisted these comments were just jokes or constructive criticism, Barbara couldn't shake the feeling of inadequacy that lingered after every visit. Eventually, Barbara decided to limit these visits and instead spend time in places where she felt truly valued. The difference in her mood and self-esteem was remarkable. She felt lighter, happier, and more at ease. Barbara's experience is a valuable reminder that criticism, even when cloaked in humor or friendship, is still criticism, and the emotional toll it takes can be heavy. Remember, true friends don't need to tear you down to feel better about themselves. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, encouragement, and genuine appreciation. When you spend time in homes where these positive traits are present, you leave feeling recharged and valued, not drained or diminished. Choosing wisely about whose home you visit is not a sign of selfishness, rather, it reflects self-respect and the understanding that you deserve better. It's especially important as we get older to prioritize relationships and interactions that nourish our spirit. Life offers fewer years ahead than behind, and every moment becomes precious. Time spent in negativity is time lost from experiencing joy, laughter, and genuine companionship. If visits to certain homes consistently leave you questioning your value or feeling less confident, consider it a clear indication that it's time to make a change. You have every right to protect your well-being and ensure that your social circle uplifts rather than undermines you. Sometimes that means setting boundaries or gracefully stepping back from certain relationships. The goal isn't confrontation or drama, but a quiet, thoughtful choice to surround yourself with those who see your worth and reflect it back to you through kindness and respect. Choosing not to visit homes where you're consistently criticized doesn't mean you're isolating yourself. It means you're creating space for healthier, more fulfilling connections. And as you begin to make these mindful choices, you'll find yourself feeling more empowered, more confident, and better able to enjoy the simple, meaningful pleasures life has to offer. Number 2, people who always ask for favors but never offer support in return. Another type of home you might reconsider. Visiting belongs to people who consistently ask for favors or assistance, but rarely offer their support when you need it most. On the surface, this might seem harmless enough. A small request here, a favor there. But over time, these seemingly minor favors accumulate, leaving you feeling more like a resource than a friend. It's natural, especially as we get older, to want to be helpful and to lend a hand whenever we can. Generosity, after all, is a wonderful quality and an important part of maintaining strong relationships. But when generosity becomes one-sided, it can drain your emotional reserves and leave you feeling exhausted, underappreciated, and taken advantage of. Consider my friend Robert, who's 76 years old. Robert is a good-hearted man who always wants to help. For many years, he'd regularly visit the home of an old acquaintance named Jim. Whenever Robert was at Jim's house, Jim inevitably needed help with something, fixing a broken faucet, moving heavy furniture, or assisting with yard work. Robert didn't mind lending a hand because he valued their relationship. But gradually, Robert began noticing a pattern whenever he asked Jim for a simple favor in return, like a ride to an appointment or a bit of help around his own house. Jim was always busy or unavailable. Robert initially brushed this aside, telling himself that friendships weren't about keeping score. But as time went on, he noticed how tired he felt. After each visit to Jim's home, the interactions left him feeling less like a friend and more like someone whose generosity was taken for granted. This realization didn't come easily. It required Robert to acknowledge his own feelings and to recognize that relationships built on mutual respect and support are crucial, especially as we age. When friendships are healthy and balanced, giving support feels rewarding because you know it will eventually be reciprocated. But when that balance is missing, it can leave you feeling emotionally depleted and undervalued. Recognizing this imbalance doesn't mean you need to abandon a friendship altogether, but it does suggest reconsidering how much of your precious time and energy you're willing to invest. Remember, as we grow older, our time, energy, and emotional resources become even more valuable. It becomes increasingly important to choose carefully how and where we spend them. Being generous and helpful is wonderful, but you also deserve relationships that honor your kindness by reciprocating it. Your goodwill should feel appreciated, respected, and met with similar warmth and generosity. If you find yourself consistently drained after visits to certain homes, it may be time to gently reevaluate the balance in those relationships. Sometimes the best solution is simply setting gentle but firm boundaries. It's okay to kindly decline when a request feels burdensome or to suggest another way. They might get the help they need. Over time, setting these boundaries can help establish healthier dynamics and allow space for more balanced relationships to flourish. Choosing not to visit homes where your generosity is consistently taken advantage of can feel difficult at first, especially if you've always prided yourself on your willingness to help others. But ultimately, making this choice is an act of self-respect and care, recognizing that you deserve to be valued and appreciated just as much as anyone else. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 3, people who make you feel unwelcome or burdensome. One clear indicator that you should reconsider visiting someone's home is when you consistently feel unwelcome or like an inconvenience during your visits. At first glance, it might seem difficult to imagine that friends or family members would make you feel unwanted intentionally, but the truth is, it often happens in subtle ways. Perhaps you've noticed they frequently glance at the clock, sigh when you arrive, or make passive comments about how busy they are. Maybe they rarely offer you a seat or rush through conversations, leaving you with a lingering sense that you're imposing on their time. While these gestures might appear minor, their cumulative effect can significantly damage your self-esteem and emotional well-being. It's particularly hurtful when these experiences come from long-standing relationships, those you thought you could count on for support and companionship. No matter your age, everyone deserves to feel valued and warmly welcomed when visiting someone else's home. And as we get older, experiencing a sense of belonging becomes even more crucial to our happiness and emotional health. That's why recognizing and addressing situations where you're made to feel burdensome is vital in maintaining your dignity and self-respect. Take, for example, my friend Shirley, who recently turned 78. For years, Shirley regularly visited her younger sister Joan's home. Initially, these visits were joyful occasions, filled with laughter and warmth. Over time, however, Shirley started noticing subtle changes. Joan often seemed hurried, distracted, or irritated when Shirley dropped by, frequently mentioning how busy she was, or how much work she had left to do around the house. At first, Shirley blamed herself, thinking she was choosing inconvenient times or staying too long. She began shortening her visits, hoping to ease the tension, but the feeling of being unwelcome persisted. It wasn't until Shirley took a step back and reflected on how consistently she felt uneasy after each visit that she realized the emotional cost these interactions were having. The sense of joy and connection she once felt had gradually been replaced by anxiety and self-doubt. After careful consideration, Shirley decided to address her feelings openly with Joan, explaining how the repeated experiences left her feeling unwelcome. Thankfully, Joan had been unaware of her own behavior and expressed genuine regret, leading to a meaningful conversation that restored warmth to their relationship. However, not every situation resolves so positively. Sometimes people are genuinely unaware of how their actions affect others, and a simple conversation can lead to mutual understanding and stronger relationships. But in other cases, you might find that the behavior continues even after you've voiced your feelings. In these situations, it's essential to recognize when it's time to reduce your visits and prioritize relationships that actively make you feel wanted and appreciated. Remember, feeling like a burden is not something you should accept or ignore, regardless of your age. Your emotional comfort and self-worth are just as important now as they've ever been, perhaps even more so. Recognizing your right to be treated with kindness and respect is crucial in maintaining a healthy emotional life. It's entirely acceptable and often necessary to choose your interactions based on where you feel genuinely welcomed and valued. By intentionally choosing homes and relationships that uplift and embrace you, you'll naturally build stronger bonds and foster deeper connections. Surrounding yourself with people who welcome your presence not only boosts your emotional well-being, but also enhances your overall quality of life. Making these mindful choices may initially feel difficult, especially when they involve relationships you've cherished for years. But prioritizing your sense of dignity and self-respect will undoubtedly lead you toward more joyful, fulfilling experiences in the long run. Number 4, people who gossip or spread rumors. Another type of home you may want to reconsider visiting belongs to people who frequently engage in gossip or spread rumors. At first glance, sharing stories about others might seem harmless or even entertaining, a simple way to pass the time. However, what initially seems like harmless chatter can quickly become toxic, creating an environment filled with negativity, distrust, and drama. It's important to realize that participating in gossip, even passively, can leave you feeling uncomfortable and compromised. And as we get older, maintaining our peace of mind and emotional well-being becomes increasingly crucial. Spending your valuable time in an atmosphere that undermines these qualities can subtly but significantly affect your overall happiness. Think of my friend Margaret, who is now 71. Margaret used to regularly visit a neighbor named Helen, who was known in their community for being friendly and welcoming. At first, Margaret enjoyed their visits, appreciating the chance to catch up on neighborhood news and feel connected. Gradually, however, she began noticing that Helen's conversations almost always revolved around rumors, speculation, and criticisms of others. What began as seemingly harmless talk soon left Margaret feeling uneasy and concerned about participating in these conversations. Margaret eventually recognized that every time she visited Helen's home, she felt drained afterward, worried about what Helen might be saying about her to others, and uncomfortable about the role she'd unintentionally played in spreading negativity. Realizing the emotional toll these visits were taking, Margaret made a conscious decision to step back. Instead, she chose to spend her time in more positive, uplifting environments where conversations focused on meaningful connections, mutual respect, and shared interests rather than the personal lives of others. What Margaret experienced is not uncommon. Gossip and rumor spreading can have subtle but powerful effects on your emotional health. When you're repeatedly exposed to conversations focused on negativity or criticism, it not only affects how you feel in the moment, but can also shape your own mindset and outlook. The negative energy from these interactions can follow you home, influencing your thoughts and emotional state long after the visit has ended. You may even begin to worry about how your personal life is being discussed when you're not present, creating unnecessary anxiety and suspicion. Choosing not to visit homes where gossip is a central pastime doesn't mean you have to confront the issue head-on or create conflict. Often, it's enough to gently redirect conversations toward more positive topics or simply reduce the frequency of your visits. Prioritizing interactions and relationships that foster kindness, positivity, and genuine connection is a powerful step in protecting your emotional well-being. Your peace of mind is incredibly valuable, especially as you age, and choosing where and how you spend your time directly impacts your overall quality of life. Remember, genuine relationships are built on trust, empathy, and mutual respect, not on sharing negative stories about others. Healthy friendships and family relationships nourish your spirit, uplift your mood, and create a sense of belonging and joy. Surrounding yourself with people who demonstrate these positive qualities ensures that your emotional energy is invested wisely and rewarded generously. It's never too late to evaluate the influence your social interactions have on your life. If visiting certain homes leaves you feeling uncomfortable or compromised due to gossip or negativity, recognizing this impact is an important step toward healthier emotional boundaries. You deserve interactions that leave you feeling positive, respected, and energized, not drained or worried. Choosing to spend your valuable time in homes where you're encouraged, appreciated, and engaged in meaningful ways is one of the most empowering decisions you can make. By doing so, you ensure that your later years are filled with fulfilling connections, genuine happiness, and the peace of mind you truly deserve. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 5, people who dismiss your values or pressure you against your beliefs. One of the most critical indicators that visiting someone's home may not be beneficial is if the person consistently dismisses your values or pressures you into acting against your own beliefs. As we age, our values, principles, and personal beliefs become deeply ingrained, forming the core of who we are. Spending time with people who fail to respect these essential parts of our identity can be deeply unsettling, damaging our emotional health and self-esteem. It might start subtly, a casual comment dismissing your opinion on a topic you hold dear, a joke about something meaningful to you, or pressure to engage in an activity that makes you uncomfortable. Initially, you might brush these moments off, thinking they were unintentional or insignificant. But over time, repeated experiences like this can leave you feeling disrespected, misunderstood, and increasingly anxious during visits. These feelings linger, creating unnecessary stress in your daily life. I recall the experience of my friend John, now 74. John had a longtime friend named Frank whose home he frequently visited. John cherished the friendship, built on many shared experiences from their younger days. But as they aged, John and Frank found themselves increasingly divergent in their values and lifestyles. Frank developed habits and viewpoints John no longer shared, and often tried to persuade John to change his mind or join in activities that conflicted with John's personal beliefs. At first, John felt obligated to participate, worried that declining might damage their friendship. But each time he visited Frank's home and gave into pressure, he left feeling frustrated and disappointed in himself. John eventually realized that compromising his core values wasn't worth maintaining visits that consistently left him feeling uneasy and conflicted. When John finally communicated his feelings to Frank, explaining the emotional strain the interactions were causing, Frank was initially defensive. Although it wasn't easy, John knew that distancing himself from situations that compromised his beliefs was essential to his emotional health and integrity. Over time, John found comfort in spending more time with friends and family members who respected and supported his beliefs and boundaries, reaffirming that true companionship comes from mutual respect and understanding. Choosing not to visit homes where your values are frequently challenged or dismissed isn't a sign of weakness or stubbornness. It's a profound act of self-respect. Your beliefs and values are critical to your identity, providing stability, meaning, and joy throughout your life. No one should be allowed to dismiss them casually or pressure you into compromising what you hold dear. Protecting your integrity becomes even more critical as you age, as the peace of mind that comes from staying true to yourself is invaluable. By prioritizing relationships and visits with people who genuinely respect and share, or at least honor, your core values, you nurture your emotional health and overall well-being. Healthy relationships empower you to embrace your beliefs without fear of criticism or pressure, allowing you to feel secure, respected, and appreciated. Each decision to avoid homes where your values aren't respected strengthens your sense of self and builds confidence, creating an environment in which you can truly thrive. It's important to recognize that setting these boundaries might initially feel uncomfortable or challenging, especially with long-standing relationships. But remember, true friends and loved ones genuinely respect your beliefs and will honor your choices without judgment. Prioritizing your emotional well-being means understanding that your peace of mind and happiness are worth protecting, even if it involves tough decisions. Ultimately, visiting homes where your values and beliefs are consistently respected contributes to a fulfilling and enriching life. These positive interactions strengthen your emotional health, boost your confidence, and help you build deeper, more meaningful connections. Your time and emotional energy are precious, particularly as you age, and investing them in respectful, nurturing environments ensures your later years are filled with joy, integrity, and satisfaction. Final thoughts. As we wrap up this video, take a moment to reflect on the 5 types of homes we've discussed today. Homes that might not serve your best interests or support your emotional health. Which one resonated with you the most deeply? Perhaps you recognize certain relationships that subtly drain your energy, leave you feeling unappreciated, or consistently challenge your personal values. Recognizing these dynamics isn't about criticizing others or isolating yourself, but rather about cultivating awareness and choosing environments that nurture your peace, dignity, and happiness. Your emotional health, peace of mind, and overall well-being are incredibly valuable, especially as you move into your later years. Prioritizing visits and interactions with people who genuinely respect, appreciate, and uplift you isn't just wise, it's essential for a meaningful and joyful life. Every choice to spend your precious time in places that make you feel welcome, respected, and understood strengthens your self-worth, confidence, and emotional resilience. You deserve relationships built on kindness, mutual support, and genuine appreciation. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.